Hi, welcome back to Two Kims.
One pod.
I'm Peter Kim, and that over there is
G Kim.
that over there.
That over there.
That bitch over there.
This bitch
That
over
hoe
here.
over there. Thought. No,
That thought of,
you're
the
looking.
thought of it.
I've thought of it, and
thought about
I decided not. I said thought. I thought not. How are you? Sorry, we're attacking you. We're in a weird mood today.
We
It's
are.
Sunday. It's February 16th. Valentine's Day has come and gone.
Come and gone. Did it come and go?
I mean, you've been together for umpteen years. I've been together for 10 years. Like, whatever. It means pretty much nothing. But I hope if it meant something to you that you had a good one. Can you remember a Valentine's that was like particularly romantic in your past?
No.
Me neither. And that's the way we ask our lovers to love us. And this is why where we are where we are, because we don't demand for more.
This has actually been something that's been on my mind. But
Yeah.
strangely enough, I used to say that Valentine's Day was like our annual like fight. It would just like conjure up. It would just like always
There's
like
pressure.
and it would just there would always be like it would be a well of emotion. It would just call up all the sort of things, you know what I mean? Like, oh, this is why we're
you
never
always
gonna
do
last.
this and you never do this.
Yes.
And I chama about this thing all year long. And on Valentine's Day, when all these white bitches are getting roses and shit.
The holiest of all days, on this day.
Yeah, white day, you fucking bitch. I could see that. Because you're the type to like chama and like whatever and like nomoga. And I bet there's so many things that like your past lover / your current lover has like done that you're like, okay, I'm just gonna swallow that too.
And then it's a pill too far. It's a pill too far. I can't swallow.
No, you're spitting.
I'm spitting it out. It's getting caught in my throat.
Yeah. Sorry we're in a weird mood today. I think it's because I'm in a weird mood. I'll tell you why. Not Valentine's Day. I actually had a good Valentine's Day.
Oh, what'd you guys do?
I went to a dance. Can we break this down? Have you ever seen dance?
Have I ever seen dance? Wait.
Like, I'm not talking about like you and your Filipino homies,
yes.
like with
We're
the
in a
boombox
circle.
hanging out.
Yes.
Yeah, I've done that, obviously.
Yes.
I've like slipped around on a fucking cardboard box in a basement.
Honey,
Okay,
my footwork,
bitch.
okay? There's
I've
been cardboard
lived
boxes.
through the 90s.
That's right. There have been cardboard boxes flattened down on driveways for sure.
Absolument. So I've been to a lot of that kind of stuff. I've been to a lot of college dance shows, dance marathon we're part of, where like you can't stop dancing to raise money or whatever the fuck.
Of course.
You know, white girl stuff.
Yeah, you've Jabberwocky, you've Jabberwocked. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Jabberwocky, fa la la. With a knapsack on my back.
Oh my God! Imagine that like this. No, but then just thinking about what's like those promotional like knapsacks that you would just like fling around at like raves and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh my God! I was always a Jansport boy.
Ooh.
But I know I was brand name. So what was I saying?
Dance.
I went to a dance show. I've realized that I've never paid for a professional dance show before.
So you've never gone to the ballet?
I don't know that I have.
Okay.
I think I went when I was a child as a school outing to like the Metropolitan.
Sure.
Whatever.
I was going to say, I was like, you lived in one of the most like the epicenter of dance.
Right, but there's
and then
so
the
much,
Joffrey in Chicago.
It's such a siloed experience.
For sure, yeah.
So like
fine art is, yeah.
Yeah. So I've been to the opera, yada yada yada, but like I realized I've never been to dance, so I was like, Eric, we need to go watch dance because every time I watch So You Think You Can Dance on TV, I'm sobbing.
Yes,
especially the Mia Michaels numbers.
Okay, yes.
May she rest. I don't think she's dead, but
she's not dead. I hope she's resting.
Yeah, please stop working. Let others rise. No, so this was called. It was at the Music Center, by the way. Do you know the area
of the Music Center?
Yeah, so downtown there's this kind of like um a network of performance spaces that are like right next all like kind of in this one corridor,
Mm-hmm.
which includes the Walt Disney Music Hall, which is where the LA Phil plays with Gustavo Dudamel. And then there's the Amundsen Theater, which is where like a lot of the like bigger kind of Broadway productions sit down. And then there's the Music Center, which puts on dance and
Of all kind, or is it a modern?
yeah, like Alvin Alley,
Okay, yeah.
blah blah blah. So
Yeah.
this was called Batsheva, and it was and the dance we saw was called Momo, Momo,
Okay.
and it is this type of dance / like movement called Gaga,
Okay.
and it is from Israel,
Okay.
and it's something I had. It's modern dance,
For sure.
but deeply rooted in, I guess, like the cultural like significance of Israeli dance.
Okay.
And I'm still processing what I saw.
So what was it? Like
what
was
did it
the
look like?
narrative? Yeah. What was the narrative? Like what was sort of being expressed?
That's like I'm still processing.
Sure. Sure.
It wasn't as simple as like, you know, Swan Lake or whatever. Like it was very like even that is like ballet movements and like whatever. But so it was very like modern dance.
Sure.
There was 4 men who were shirtless and wearing pants, and they all moved pretty much in unison
Okay.
in like almost micro movements.
Okay.
And it was very like structured and militaristic
Okay.
versus the other like 7 dancers, 8 dancers were all very like improvisational, like almost it felt like commedia dell'arte where like each person was like embodying a character.
Sure.
So the movements were very like grounded in their character, but they were like improvising movements within.
What was the music?
Philip Glass,
Okay.
this like quartet, kind of like this like new classical meets digital like
Okay. Was there a DJ?
thing. No,
Okay.
it was I think all like tracked,
Okay.
and it's one of those things where like you watch something. I gotta say it's not one of those things. I don't really know if I've ever watched something live that
Yeah.
I am processing days later.
It was that
No,
affecting.
that's not true. I have like the first time I watched Book of Mormon, I was like, oh wow, okay.
Okay.
But processing in a way where I was like, oh, that's so masterful.
Mm-hmm.
Look at how clever and smart and
Yes.
well written and
Yeah.
beautifully choreographed and whatever. You know, like I'm appreciating what I saw and like processing the appreciation. That's not what this is.
Right.
This, I'm literally like applying philosophy towards what I watched.
Okay.
And you know, doing what you would do against like maybe visual art or
Sure.
sometimes when you're seeing film and you're breaking down film, you kind of do that. Like you're like, okay, but what's the metaphor behind it? And
Sure.
what's
beyond the
message
narrative,
I'm
yeah.
getting? Yeah. And modern dance, at least this performance, like it wasn't so clear. You know, it's like looking at abstract art or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're bringing your thing to it, your history, the history of the creator. Like you're giving it meaning, you know, like, and it's an exercise of projecting your meaning upon this thing that they give you with like almost little to no context.
Okay. what was the staging of it? Like, was there any set drop or anything like that? Where were they?
It was bare stage.
Uh-huh.
Huge stage.
Sure.
Like the biggest stage I've ever seen.
Uh-huh.
And the back wall was like, it was slatted. So at points, different groups of dancers would go back there and start scaling the wall and creating images with their bodies.
Okay.
And movements. They would like move with the people who were in the forefront, but in different ways. It's hard to explain, but like the biggest thing I took out of it was like, I thought it was like a creation story of like, these are the gods, this is what they have created.
Okay.
They have given us this structure, and look at how they play and interact with each other and are jealous of each other. They were showing like a lot of emotion towards each other and to the gods, but the gods would never, or not the gods, but the four men would never like interact.
Okay.
This is so boring to break down. I'm so sorry. I just want to say, I'm still processing. Like,
right.
So it was like an artistic experience that I had, I think, never experienced before.
So it's very, I mean, honestly, it sounds like a lot like your experience with the caviar.
Boom.
Because it's like, because it is, yeah, like a really fancy sort of like thing that you had an interaction with that you were still processing. You weren't ready.
Like, it hit me in a deep chord that like a lot of live performance, I don't think can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not because I watch, and maybe it's because I consume a lot of commercial art.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. Like,
I mean, but it also means that, you know, you're a person that consumes a lot of commercial art, like, thoughtfully. So you're almost ready for this. I mean, there's something to be said about being young and being exposed to this sort of shit that makes you ready for the visual and emotional language of it. So,
have you experienced dance?
Stop saying it like that.
Why?
Have you experienced? Yeah, I actually have. This is actually the type of thing.
Tell me about that then.
So,
yeah, because I don't know what I'm like experiencing right now.
So, you know, I've actually seen Rite of Spring, which is a Stravinsky. It's a Stravinsky ballet, and if you're unfamiliar with it, the actual moment, the cultural moment it elicited, like culturally of its time. It's very famous because it created a riot. The first time it debuted, it is a contemporary classical piece. And it is about something very primal, the rite of spring, right? And the movements of the dancers are very primal. It's rooted in ballet, but also very, very, quote unquote, primal, like naturalistic. And everyone is, each production can adapt it however they want to. The costumes can be however they want to. I've seen 2 different productions of it that took on very different, interpreted it very differently.
Okay.
When it first debuted, what it elicited in the crowd was such chaos and so much strong emotion that people started to riot. Women started to stab each other with their hat pins. Like, it was violent.
Wait, what year was this?
Like, at the turn of the 20th century. Like,
okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it made people insane because of exactly what you're describing. People could not apply anything normal to it, in the context of what they had seen prior, and yet it elicited in them such strong feelings, such strong a reaction, and they couldn't understand it, and so their reaction to it was violent to stab.
That's strange.
Because most people don't enjoy not understanding something. To have something so strong,
because they're so tightly wound and puritanical that
this makes no sense. This makes me feel strange. It's making me feel something.
So someone must die.
Someone must die.
So I stopped feeling like this.
You know what I mean? Like, it's truly like, this is why when people talk about art being effective, this is it.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like,
yeah,
because
of course,
it can make you feel so strange and so it makes reality feel less concrete. So when you feel that, a normal human response,
it's destabilizing.
Absolutely. So it's normal to feel this way.
Yes,
like this sort of strong reaction is sort of makes sense.
They just didn't have the language back then to be like,
nobody been to therapy, cognitive behavioral.
Like,
Nobody. Nobody's doing
Zip it. Woman, stay in the house. Don't ever leave.
No one's doing EDMR. No one's doing that. They're just like, I don't like this feeling. I must stab. And so knowing that, so I knew that going in and then experiencing it. So I'd seen ballet before. You know, I sort of watched it in the same way that I would read like Penguin classics. Like, I know this is good. Sure. I know this is good. I know this is fancy. I'm
consuming because I want to be,
like, of this echelon of like art consumer and well read, right? And so I want to have an ascot culturally, right? You know what I mean? Like, I want to be.
Like, this ain't no necktie, bitch.
That's right.
This is an ascot. Okay, it's wide, it's girthy, and it's often silkier.
You know what I mean? Like, I want. This is the sort of experience that I'm buying into. That's why it's $80, $100 per ticket.
Monocle vibes.
That's right. Yeah. I'm Monopoly. I'm Mr. Peanut, and so like and so I had that sort of experience. Like, oh, this is nice. This is fancy. Very posh. Rite of Spring was so primal and so destabilizing. And mind you, I'm a modern person, right? Sure. I'm a person that understands the context. I've seen the Jabberwockies. I've been out here. I've done drugs. You know, like all of it. And yet it was still this affecting. And it is exactly what you described, which is like, you are bringing your own experience to it. Absolutely. But it is the power of like the creator and the artist to elicit this in you. And whatever's happening contextually in that moment, like, because it's live, right? It's not, you're not watching Nosferatu like in a black and white thing.
That's what I mean. Like, it's like, it was visceral.
Yes. And it is.
It was so in the room. Like, I think subconsciously linking it back to comedy in that, like, if I'm on stage, like, what am I eliciting? It's usually laughs.
Yeah.
And like some kind of sympathy or empathy or whatever, right?
Connection.
Yeah. But what they were doing was different.
Yes.
What these people were doing was, I'm getting emotional just even thinking about it. Like, so they were doing this thing where, like, you know, when you have a dance company, like, you split off and there's like solo moments, right? So they had highlighted this kind of, it was a 75-minute show. Okay. And you know me, I'm a time bitch, so I'm like clocking every fucking second. Yeah. Right? So I'm like, okay, that's a transition. How are they transitioning from song to song? What are they doing for, like, how are they affecting the transition into the next story? And what is that saying? You know, like, I'm really like studying.
Yeah.
I'm leaning in. And they bring out everyone to the front, downstage. I think there's 11, 12 of them. And the song's playing, the music's playing, and it's this like deeply sorrowful like cello piece.
God, I love a cello.
And like almost like purposefully distorted strings to make it feel uneasy.
Yeah.
And the whole company is, all they're doing is in unison, like Meisner-ass type shit, mirror work ass. They're all just turning very slowly.
Okay.
And as they turn, one person doesn't turn and does their solo. But in time to like when the whole cast is coming back to one, you're finishing up your solo and then lockstep going right into the turn.
Right.
To disappear for the soloist.
Right.
Because now it's almost like they're doing like a Zoom for us. You know, it's like this thing is happening all in unison. Therefore, everyone is the same.
Yeah.
So it forces the eye to look at the one that's different.
Okay.
You know, and it was just so like, it's just masterful movement. Like it just, I don't know why, like physicality and movement moves me more than other things.
I mean, it's true of anything though. I mean, like the body being used in this way.
Yeah.
Like it is so primal.
What is it? It's the primality of it. Like
absolutely,
it's because it's so there and I'm attaching to it in like a sub-molecular level.
Because as the people who are listening to this unfortunately can attest to, it sounds so pretentious in description. Do you know what I mean? It's like the same way when you try.
I didn't. Okay, can I tell you this? I had the whole time that didn't even cross my mind.
Of course, but I'm saying that it's like the same way that when you try to describe a joke to somebody, it's like something about it. It's like, it sounds really like you make it sound really weird or too lofty, or you make it sound really dumb, right? It's not connecting to the experience because you have to be there, laughter is equally as primal.
Yes.
Like, right, it's just as visceral.
Oh, that's why.
That's because it's like big, and that's the thing. Like, even describing the Rite of Spring, like, there's no the best way to describe it is the reaction.
I've seen like singing on stage. I've seen singing and dancing on stage. I've seen other live things.
But you can't conjure up the feeling because you're just describing, and it's a language that feels much more commercial. It's much more mainstream. It's things that you can call.
Maybe that's what.
And the references of all of it, like, oh, it sounded like this. It's this bitch did this. She was Arianaing. She was Mariah. She was doing this. She was doing that. There are notes. Like, there are things and references and touchstones culturally that we can share with others because it is normative. Versus this, which is so stripped of everything. That's why most abstract art, like, it sounds pretentious when you try to describe it. When you go and you see it live, when you even go see one of there is strangely enough there's a Kandinsky in the Art Institute. I don't even know if it's even out right now, but I believe it's like about war, and it's very, very bright. And it used to be right when you would go from like Matisse, like whatever era, into the modern part of the Art Institute before the new wing opened up. It was like right on the wall as you entered. Okay. And I remember going to see it. And again, I'm not a huge fan of abstract art or modern art. But
Same.
So going and seeing it live, and for some reason I remember seeing it and being able to receive it in a way. I just happened to be in a space. And dude, like, it really hit me. And it was all the things you're describing, like, why is this interplay of color and like the way that the strokes are seemingly talking to each other so affecting. And it is just that. Describing it feels so pretentious, but in that moment, as I'm talking, as I'm seeing this piece of art that I have no context for, I don't know I don't know shit about art, but it is affecting me.
Same.
So it's just that. You just have, sometimes you have to just go see that shit live. Like, that's what's missing.
It's the live thing. I think that's really what.
Yes, absolutely, of course.
I'm not only connecting to the art, I'm connecting to every other person in this room right now and how they're feeling and how they're being made to feel. Like, yeah, again, I'm still thinking about it. Like, the
collective feeling of digestion of like an artistic moment like that is so powerful. Like, I will say this is one of the few things I very rarely experience something like this in theater, for example, because theater is so narrative, like film and stuff like that, and it's harder to have an abstraction or a moment like that you can share with an audience.
Did you go watch that? Sorry to cut you off, but like, did you go watch that? Was it at Steppenwolf or the Goodman where they like redid Waiting for Godot?
I've seen Waiting for Godot at a black box in Chicago. Never saw it at the Goodman.
that was another one. It wasn't dance. It was just a play with two
Yes,
black
but
men.
it's abstract. It was abstract.
It
It's
was
an abstraction.
abstracted
Yes.
from Godot.
Yes.
And it was when it was blackout, and I stood up and I clapped, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I was walking down the stairs and I started sobbing.
Yeah.
So that was a similar experience where I was like, wait, my world is being rocked right now.
And you don't understand why. Yes.
I don't really know why.
No.
And I want to stab someone with a fucking
Yes, because it's unnerving. Like I'm telling
it really
you.
is. It's shocking.
It was shocking.
And I wonder that's what we're experiencing from a lot of the country after Kendrick Lamar's performance.
Oh my God.
I think that unnerved a lot.
It was very strange. I mean, like I was watching it. I mean, it's funny because there are very few moments like that where culturally we're experiencing something together, right?
The most watched Super Bowl ever.
And truly, like having so many people that were digesting something that they were not ready for, right?
No.
And so, like the conversation around it. I'm gonna go back to the.
Sorry to cut you off again, but like speaking of the conversation,
yeah,
he opened the show with a few bars from the teaser of GNX, his album. It's not on GNX.
No,
it's not even a track.
No, it was from the teaser.
He says this line. Yeah. It said, "You wouldn't get the picture if I set you in front of the Louvre for hours, or hours in front of the Louvre."
Mm-hmm.
He literally told us, "You're not gonna get this."
Yeah.
So, just let me do my thing, and then get angry about it later. And that's exactly what happened.
Well, I mean, some of that is absolutely an acknowledgement of like the audience, but it's Peter. Some of that's absolutely an acknowledgement of the people who are watching the Super Bowl, right? Like it's he's saying that there's one of it where it's like the swagger of hip hop, where it's like you wouldn't get this anyway. And secondly, it's absolutely an acknowledgement of the people who watch the Super Bowl, people who watch football. Period. Like
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, this is like a league that just maybe I think I'm trying to remember here with like the Kaepernick of it all, like, right? Like literally,
well, this is
within recent memory, this happened, right? So, having this conversation that's occurring after what could be argued, right, for a part of the audience who watched the Super Bowl is a trauma, right? It was traumatic for them to to have their morals.
They wanted Shakira.
And to have their worldview affronted in this way. They're looking to stab. They're looking to
stab. But here's the most beautiful part about it. They're not even looking to stab yet because it hasn't hit them yet.
It may never.
It'll hit.
I don't know. I mean, like sometimes that is actually the wonder of most art, right? Like it is whatever you choose. It's not legislation. You can't force anyone to see or understand a concept.
No, you can't. But how often do you get this type of exposure to everyone?
Which is absolutely what he was acknowledging, right? Like this is absolutely a part of it.
It's like if
it doesn't matter,
Mona Lisa was revealed to 160 million people at once.
So I mean, like then, but Mona Lisa was also like at the time. I don't know if it was as violent of like a reaction at the time
or whatever. Any art piece, like when you don't like, this is the pinnacle of commerce and art. And as far as like viewership goes,
sure.
And he literally took a shat. Took a shit.
Yeah.
He took a shit on the NFL and said, "Fuck you."
But whilst
Trump is there,
but also whilst NFL absolutely mandated and was cool with this, right? Like there is a part of it
because of Jay-Z, because he took it over 2 years ago.
Yeah, because of all of the outrage of it,
because of Kaepernick.
Yes,
like so, this is all systematic since Kaepernick.
But it's like that's what I mean. It's not like there's.
No, the NFL is really proud of it. The way they're reclipping and reclipping.
So it's what I'm saying. It's like it's
crazy.
So when
like there's been a regime change.
Yeah. So when we talk about this being like such, I mean, okay. So
on Fox.
So what I'm saying
on Fox.
So are you a part of this conversation where on the left there's been a lot of flack for Kendrick?
No, I haven't seen that at all.
So this is what I'm saying.
By
like,
who?
By a lot of leftists, by a lot of people
like
on the left, extreme left. And I'm very specifically talking about like black activists, talking about this
saying what?
That it was a squandered lost moment for him to
how?
For all the reasons we've like talked about, like that he basically is
because he played Not Like Us.
No, but that it was like sort of like a performative type of revolution. That there's a part
He's a
of it,
performer.
I mean, I absolutely agree with you, but there are parts of it where, for me personally, I'm not of this opinion. I think that the sort of messaging and the call to arms that he managed to make digestible to a mainstream audience.
Yeah.
Even if it's not all of it. That's the feat. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that even if most people didn't understand it, and even if most people will never understand it, right? The fact that it was affecting, that it was traumatic for them to have to experience and not like. Yeah. At the very least, it's enough.
That's
right?
enough. That's
Absolutely.
enough to say they not like us.
Mm-hmm.
The layers, the amount that, I mean, I guess anyone could have a criticism on anything. It doesn't really matter. But personally, I thought it was exhilarating and something I had never seen before or even thought can be done.
Oh, absolutely. I thought it was...
That's why I was so mesmerized by it, because it lit a fire for me.
I mean, I will
as
say
an artist, you know, like...
It was very similar to... Like, it's like one of those things where as a Super Bowl, it was exactly what the artist wanted to accomplish and was antithetical to what the actual event often wants, right?
That was that's exactly why
because
I loved it so much.
Because there's no way, it's very similar to, in my mind, and this is not an opinion that I've seen on the internet or anything like that, but to me, it was very similar to how Prince did it, which was his Prince's halftime show was Prince. There was no part of it that wasn't Prince. He didn't bust out anything special because it was the Super Bowl. He didn't do anything extra. Yeah. What he does was spectacular and special enough. It is still considered one of the best Super Bowl performances of all time. And it's because it was kind of raining. He was in those like platform heels, strutting around. He's doing all the things. And that in and of itself was novel enough because it wasn't like a bunch of dancers going. It's just Prince doing Prince. Yeah. And
that's why you get Prince.
And he was enough. Same thing with this, right? To me, in my mind, it is like, what else would Kendrick do aside from something like this that is so layered and so intelligent, right?
Yeah.
It's like in a visual language that
he's constantly writing a dissertation, guys. Like what
visually,
the fuck did you think? Yes.
Visually, like lyrically,
multi-layer, faceted. Like he's having fun doing it too, which was the best part. Like it didn't feel like an obligation. He was having the best time.
Absolutely. And he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't trying to do the most.
Outside of himself.
Yes. He was not trying to do the most.
He was just being Kendrick.
Absolutely. And that was what was, I think, for me as a fan, like very fun to see. A lot of the stuff I've heard that was sort of finding fault with the performance was absolutely about the squandered opportunity. The fact that he's bringing up this Jill Scott Heron thing about the revolution not being televised, this sort of faux revolutionary like thing that he does and all that stuff. And it's, to me, the reason why the left can sometimes be such a drag. Like, lighten up. We're eating dip. You know, it's a Super Bowl.
It's the Super Bowl. Turn the TV off, bitch. Like that's what I love about it, because he finished with turn the TV off. Like,
I mean, it's
unassailable. It's Uncle Sam. Like,
But I mean, like, it's all the ways in which that when you are trying to combat commercialism and you are engaging in something commercial,
yes, that's what you do.
Like, but that's why people can find fault within that sort of inherent cognitive dissonance, the hypocrisy inherent in that, right? But it's like, you know, like, yeah,
what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you're telling me that Nirvana wasn't like revolutionary, didn't do anything, even though they were selling millions of records.
Yeah, like, on MTV, like, come on,
like, you know, it's like, I mean, things are going to be like that, and it's just to me,
the people who have problems, I think, are justified in how they feel. I just wish you would bring solutions.
No, I mean,
anyone could complain.
Oh, of course, and they are,
and they will.
But I mean, it was like one of those things where, absolutely, just like watching this sort of unabashed, fun, having sort of the smile he's giving, but also absolutely the trauma of it all. Like watching people just be so befuddled, like what's happening,
and butthurt,
and upset and nervous in the course of it.
Worst thing I've ever.
And I was just like,
it was really good.
How is this the worst thing?
Seeing it.
Have you watched primetime television recently? This is not the worst thing you've seen on television. Shut up. Like,
have you seen American Horror Story Roanoke? Fucking pretty shitty.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's just they were just so upset about. Yeah, I cannot, because I'm like,
I can't relate. I don't hate anything that much.
I also don't.
I really don't. I don't have any hate in me that much. I have like pettiness, but like
absolutely,
I really don't have any hate for anything that I will like go on record on the internet, which is motherfuckingforever.com, and for you to scream about something like the things I'll scream about on here, 100% willing to die on the hill for, because it's probably what I believed.
Sure.
But also, I changed my mind.
All the I have no principles. You bring up one fact.
I learned stuff. I saw a dance show for the first time, honey.
Yeah. And he keeps calling it, have you experienced dance? Like, he keeps asking me if I've experienced dance. Like,
well, you and I have, we've been doing this for 8 years. Yeah. Have we ever spoken of dance?
Shut up.
Have we? Chum for the Koreans. And why have we not?
Well, I mean,
I just don't understand why we have not talked about it.
Why we haven't spoken of dance?
Yeah, we've literally spoken of everything else under the goddamn sun. I don't understand why we've never spoken of professional dance. Like,
I mean, like, the dance of it all, like, for sure. I mean,
it's because it's pretentious, huh?
It is pretentious. And talking about that experience, come on. Oh. I mean, I go see ballet pretty much every year. And sometimes it's affecting and sometimes it's not. I go see theater pretty frequently, and sometimes it's affecting and sometimes it's not. I will say I've been seeing stuff recently at the Goodman that has been incredible. And if you guys have an opportunity to go see, I went to go see a play. It just won the Pulitzer. God damn, I can't even remember the name of it right now. Priority something? And I'm going to go see Fat Ham this weekend. Fat Ham is getting raves, but it's like it's a sort of comedic. The thing I saw was unexpectedly sad. Like, I'm talking sobbing. My makeup came off. Like, it was just me. I'm like gripping the arm of my friend that was there with me. Like, it was brutal. Like, there should have been some sort of warning. And
that bad.
Yes, that bad / good, right? Where it was like where the experience is about, you know what, strangely enough, I think this is one of the things that is great about live theater recently. The thing I was going to talk about earlier, this play called Gloria, if you ever have a chance to even read it, highly recommend. I believe it was like a runner-up for the Pulitzer that it was in contention. But it's about the nature of who gets to tell trauma. And it's about at the end of the first act, right? The first act is basically operates like a Noel Coward play, like a comedy of manners almost. Like, it's taking place in a New Yorker type magazine place. Okay. A lot of ambitious young people that are very smart. A lot of quips, right? And it ends shockingly. It ends. The first act ends, and when I tell you, Peter, that everyone in the audience goes into the lobby, dumbstruck. When I tell you,
stabbing each other.
Not even. Wow. We're all like truly like in shock. Like the silence of us just like walking down the stairs to get peanuts.
Wow.
To get a refill on our Chardonnays. Wow. And the way that all of us are just staring at each other because we've experienced the trauma. We've experienced the trauma together, which is what the intention was. We've experienced the trauma together, and now we, as an audience, have experienced it because just like the people on stage.
Together? Did they heal you afterwards or no?
No.
They left you gutted?
They ask
That's
if
irresponsible.
they ask if we are allowed, right? Who inside of this room who experienced that trauma is allowed to retell it? Who owns this? Who gets to sell it? You know what I mean? Like it's about like let's think about 9/11. Let's think about every single school shooting. Like who inside of this context is a janitor there who didn't get shot? Who was hiding? Mm-hmm. What if he sells the story?
What
about your trauma can be commercialized? Like what is that? And when we take ownership and like what part of trauma can be commercialized, what part of trauma is like private versus public, right? And what's fascinating is that in this instance, like we as an audience are going through it with the characters, right? Because we've experienced the same sort of trauma.
And you're TikToking it and making money off of it.
Or maybe not, because you actually like you are someone that processes trauma like through depression.
Yeah.
Like being very, very depressed. And I think that's very true of like even like the way that the public has responded to Kendrick's performance, right? Like for some, the trauma of the Kaepernick, the Black Lives Matter of it all makes it so that Kendrick should be doing more. For other people watching, it's like Kendrick shouldn't be talking about it at all. Right? Like it's just like all of it is he's taken that and capitalized it, and he makes it very clear at the top, like this is what you're about to see. And I'm about to give it to you, and it's about this very specific thing.
He lays it right out there.
It
is not a secret.
And that's the thing is, I was trying to explain to my son on the way home what the song is very specifically about, right? And
which song?
Not Like Us, because he's like obviously. Because by the way, I'm watching it with like my brother-in-law. The children loving Kendrick Lamar, like they can get enough. Bopping.
Mustard.
They're bopping. The kids are jumping around. They're loving it. The adults are like, yes, absolutely. My daughter, crib walking all over the place, and but like the adults are sort of processing it obviously very differently. And so my son was asking me what the song is because there's a lot of obviously the adults are talking about it, and he wants to know what's happening. And I kind of talk about the beef between him and Drake a lot, and then I get into sort of like that very specific verse about Atlanta, in Not Like Us, and like the you're not like not a collie, you're a colonizer, right? And I'm talking about that very specific part of it, and like how this is like the culture vulture of it all, like who, like that. Ultimately, in my mind, Kendrick is not revolutionary, but I think he sees himself as a very serious and thoughtful keeper of the hip hop flame, like culturally. And he's made it very clear he's always been that person.
Yeah.
Always. And very specifically West Coast. So I'm talking about this with my son, and at the end of it, I'm kind of like, but also it's mostly, he does also hate Drake.
Well, Drake, it's so yummy because Drake represents not just what he hates about what's happening to hip hop,
yes,
but what's happening to black people and black culture,
yes,
ever since slavery.
Yes.
Like it's just the stripping by the whites. It's the colonizer comment, right? It's like the nonstop colonization of culture, and Kendrick's almost. And this is, I might be taking this too far, but in such a brilliant way saying, watch me do it for my culture and I'm going to do it your way. Like the whole thing was, this is the great American game.
Yeah.
And he was saying, I did it my way, game over.
Yes.
Meaning not just game over Drake, but game over to the industry and capitalism writ large. Like, he's calling game over on our country and our system as it is.
I mean, yes, absolutely. I mean, also to call up the Jill Scott Heron of the revolution will be televised, and at the end being like the TV, turn it off. Like, there's a part of it where people are just like, oh, right. They're like, everyone's like writing a little like English paper about it online, and you know, like, this is my thesis. These are my supporting statements.
The ticks are talking.
The ticks are talking, right? And people are like drawing, like everyone's green screen is like, and this is the controller, and I'm just like, yeah, we all underline the same passage in the book. Okay, we get it. Yeah. But
it's the middle passage.
Yeah, literally. But like, I mean, I will say that the visual language of it all is not meant to be that deep. Like, the fact that we're able to
very upfront.
This is why it's supposed to happen this way. It's literally it's
for the dummies,
and it's for all, right? It's for all, and
but it's palatable for the dummies.
For sure, but it was also enjoyable for the people that understand it and saw it absolutely right away. So this is what's masterful about it. Absolutely, I think.
Yeah, go for it.
But I was like, I think there's also this moment where, like, we were saying so much about like with the dance of it all and the revolution part of it and like turning the TV off. There's a part of this that I think what Kendrick is trying to get to is that it's always going to need to happen live. Like, you do have to turn off the television. You do have to like stop taking and ingesting what they're feeding you, right? Like, the revolution, is it being televised? Sure, it'll be live streamed, it'll be covered, but the actual revolution, going back to the original poem, is that it has to happen in the streets. It always has to happen live.
Yeah,
because like
that's what he's calling for.
Yeah, I mean, like, because truly, like, any sort of action politically or artistically can be twisted and assessed and reviewed to only portray what the person saying is feeling.
But if you're seeing it live, you only have what is moving you.
Yes.
And connecting to other humans.
And it's based in your own reality. It is not being subjected to
chopped and screwed,
edited and stitched together, right? Like, it's something that I think that some of the youngers now, because they've grown up in such a edited, algoed world, right, that's so deeply digitized, I think the ones that are like whatever version of like the activated version of the youngs, they understand this now. Good. Much more deeply than we ever did, because we were.
Hallelujah, that's great.
They absolutely. I mean, the same way that.
Thank you.
Well, I would say
Thank
that
you for
like
your service.
I would just say that like they also are much more, because the youngest Gen Zs and Alphas, they're all been raised by the most woke millennial versions, right, of culture right now.
Yeah.
Right, and they are much less tolerant. Like, it's not so much that like they're not being inclusive or like they're just like the things that you care about, the things that you're the HR version of politics and wokeness that you're obsessed with, it's actually irrelevant and it's stupid.
Yeah.
They're going back to
the
it.
Real thing.
They're getting back to the real thing. And I think which is like why the Kendrick of it all was like, yeah, are we talking about the real thing? I mean, even the Uncle Sam of it all was like so smart.
Yes. To be Samuel L. Jackson, who was pallbearer to Martin Luther King. Like, it's such a like, that's what I mean. It's just he's so petty and he's so smart.
Yes.
It's a dangerous thing. It's like, it's almost Trump, but like the opposite direction. You know, like, it's so. Because
he has a larger calling. Trump is petty for himself.
Yeah, and he's not that smart.
No.
He's actually quite oafish.
But you cannot deny that Trump is incredibly savvy. Like, he knows what the fuck is happening.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just not, I guess, like, he's savvy, he's not intelligent. How about that?
Truth.
Like, Kendrick's intelligent and like wise. Anyway,
and still chooses to be so petty. It's like such an inspiration.
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. The pettiness is like really driving me.
I mean, it's literally made me feel like I am engaging with that part of myself, and in light of like like a lot of sort of my own feelings around like, why do people, like, some people react a certain way to me, and like why do I elicit certain things?
You were talking about like being seen a certain way, and you're sick of it.
And so I'm
we were
like,
talking about that last week.
And I was just like, I like, it's not the pettiness. I just want people to be afraid of my pettiness. I do think that people.
Well, how do you think you should manifest that?
So I think that I'm going to. I think I've like
pick on the biggest bitch in the yard.
No, I think that so much of it is like rooted in me being very afraid of, like, I want to be confrontation. Yes, and I want to be liked, right? I want to make sure that I'm not making people feel uncomfortable, right?
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm trying, and it still looks like this,
true.
And it still looks like this.
That's true.
And it still looks like this. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying, and it still looks like this. So why do I even try?
I didn't think you were trying, to be honest. I know that feels hyperbolic, but like,
I am trying.
It seemed like you were actively not trying to be liked.
I am trying. This is what I mean. It still looks like this. So why am I even trying? Yeah. You know, and so like
I don't think you should.
Yeah,
I don't. That comes as a surprise to me, to be honest.
I am. I'm really trying. Like, I mean, like, you know, notwithstanding everything that I like put out, but like, I'm telling you, like, I absolutely am trying. Like, it's like actually fucked up how much I'm trying.
Maybe that's not working for you.
It's not.
Yeah.
Because it obviously is not. Because like no one believes me.
I don't.
That's what I mean. Like, so why am I even trying?
Yeah, maybe just go the opposite.
Just try to be myself.
Or like, I think you are being yourself, but you're saying that you're just worrying too much if people like you.
Yeah, I'm really trying to not hurt people's feelings. Like, I'm trying, and it still looks like this.
Right.
You know, and it's like in whatever way that like my overly solicitous or like, you know, me really trying to take care. It's like, it's very
Can you give me an example of how you try to not hurt someone's feelings? Like, what do you mean? I
literally think about like what might hurt someone's feelings when I'm talking to them. Like, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't bring this up. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do that. So it's like in doing that, right, I will always inadvertently bump into another thing. They will. And it's my...
Right, but that's what I'm saying is like, maybe if you don't bother thinking about don't bring that up, maybe you just won't bring it up.
Or like my over sort of solicitousness will not come off as a result, right? As weakness, as a thing where now people feel like, oh, like, does this bitch just do this, say this to me? Versus, which is like very genuinely like, oh, it's like something about my intent is coming across. It has to be. I have to only imagine this, because when I consider the things that people have gotten upset with me about, I was just talking about this. The way that people have gotten upset with me about like certain behavior, and the way that they say,
asking too many questions.
No, I'm talking about this. I'm talking about all manner of things. It's not just one, 2, or 3 versions. I'm talking about consistent pattern of behavior from a wide variety of people, from a wide array of like things in my life, from green rooms to personal relationships to family members. Like, I'm talking writ large. Okay. Where the exact same behavior elicits something very different to me.
Give me a concrete example. I'm having trouble following you vaguely.
Okay, so I will say...
Set up a scenario.
There was an instance where a a comic had a great deal of took umbrage with my behavior in the green room. Okay? And the behavior that she took umbrage with was she didn't think that I talked to her enough in the green room. That somehow my behavior made her feel like this, right?
Yeah.
And then I also like there was other behavior that she thought was unacceptable. The show occurred on Tuesday, I believe, and then 5 days later, she felt compelled to text me, and then unload.
Yeah.
This is a person that a person that I know casually, an acquaintance, but felt like she could talk to me this way. And I didn't say anything.
You talked about, yes.
Right? I didn't say anything to her. I was just like, listen, I don't know what's happening. Like, this is not my intention. Let's move on. We never talked about it again.
Okay.
No one else has ever had that experience with her. Nobody else. There have been other people that have talked to her very blanketly, negatively. Been like, this is fucked up. I can't believe you do this, this, and that. Never said anything to them. To me, she says something. And I'm talking about, this is not even like, she's like a bigger deal or I'm a bigger deal or whatever. I'm talking about like across the board, all manner. She has never spoken to anybody this way.
Okay.
Why
so
me?
you're being picked on. You're being bullied.
I don't know if bully, but it's like for some reason I'm the one. And I no longer want to be the one.
You will not be the one.
I will not be the one.
The two or the three.
Or the two or the three. This is what I mean.
Like
it's this kind of thing across many circumstances. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just friends. It's not just like random comics. It's not just my family. It's everybody. Like, there's something.
Everybody's coming at you sideways
for stuff that like other people have done. Like, it's like my sometimes there have certainly been instances where my behavior has been egregious. Don't deny. Lo siento. You know what I mean? But like, I'm talking about instances where the behavior is maybe not even altogether mine, right? And I'm being faulted with it. Or they see me as the one. Because I'll take it. I'll say nothing.
Okay.
This is what I mean.
So and you want to start saying something.
Or just not feel like I want people to stop thinking that I'm the one.
But how?
I don't know.
That's what I mean. Like, what's the action?
I think most of it, I really have thought about this. And there's something in me where I don't know if like me saying something is really the thing. There is something in my attitude.
More like a look.
It's something about people can tell.
Like, okay, imagine I'm a comic that has unloaded on you about like chewing too loud. Okay. And then I come back, it's 2 weeks later. I just finished my set. You're going on in 3 comics.
Yeah.
It's just me and you.
Yeah.
Let's just role play for a second. Okay?
Yeah.
I come back in. I'm like, ugh, weird crowd today. Hey.
Hey. I don't know. I guess like in this instance, I'm supposed to start chewing very loudly and just stare at you.
Well, I don't know. Like, how do you telegraph to me, don't fuck with me? Because you're saying the assumption is, oh, here's a bitch I could fuck with.
Yes.
But I don't know. How am I to know that you're not the one?
That I am no longer the one.
That you are no longer the one. How do I know?
I don't know, Peter. I really don't. I mean, like, maybe it's like, I don't want to say anything. Like, I don't want to be antagonistic or aggressive. I think in my mind,
why not?
Like, because I don't know if that accomplishes as much. What do you need to accomplish? I want to accomplish like the feeling that I'm just like, is it one outburst and then the word gets out?
No. What do you need to accomplish with me, this comic who has
yelled at me already,
went sideways on you?
Okay.
What is the goal? What is the simple goal in this scene?
I don't know if I want to accomplish anything beyond than you are no longer seeing me as the one. And how?
Okay.
And
how are you going to do that?
I'm not the one.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I do not. I think you are right that you are telling people to step on you.
Yes.
And I don't think you understand how to stop doing that.
No. But I'm thinking about it. I really do think there's something about.
Can I give you a clue?
Yes.
Here, what would you try? What do you want to avoid? Let's start there, because it seems like you're scared.
I'm not scared. I'm just over it. I'm done.
You can't be done because then they'll keep shitting on you.
No, I mean, as in, I'm done with being the one. I'm not scared
But how do you? Okay,
What's
so what if I was
What's the clue?
like?
What's the clue?
Well, I would say just stab him, but like, how would you do it? Like, you seem to not want to confront, right?
Is it?
You don't want to confront, and so you want them to telepathically know not to fuck with you anymore.
Yes.
Then you have to like put up a sign that says, "This is Hunji Kim. If you have fucked with me before, you're gonna need to stop that, or else ... And that, I mean, it really is about boundaries. You're not drawing boundaries with people, and you're letting them cross your boundaries, and you're getting to a point where you're getting upset about it. But you have to draw the boundaries. They can't draw it for you. You're telling them to step on you, on your neck. And you know what I mean? Like, that's the vibe you're giving this random bitch who came to you. Like, I can't believe that.
Right. I mean, and the craziest part of this was that no one else has experienced this.
Can we reverse role?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Unji Kim.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And you come in from your set. And you're this random bitch who came at me sideways.
Okay.
Okay.
Whew. Man, they're gonna love you. I mean, they didn't like what I had to say.
No. What happened?
Oh.
What happened?
Yeah, I just don't. They're not they're just not liking my stuff right now.
Oh. Well, Kelly, can I just talk to you about something real quick?
Yeah.
Remember 2 weeks ago when you came at me sideways about chewing too loud in the room?
Yeah.
Do you have a problem with me, or is it about the chewing?
This is what I have to do, Peter?
What do you mean? I'm just asking questions. You're trying to get to the root of it, right? Like, what is this about? Is it about me? Or is it about the chewing?
It was just about the chewing.
You just hate the chewing?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when you come at me sideways like that, I don't feel good. And I don't know if you know, I'm Korean and I have a hot temper, and I don't want you to get hurt. So this is a warning. Don't ever approach me like that again, because I can't be responsible for what happens. Are we good?
Go. Yeah.
That's how I would do it. I wouldn't push. I wouldn't scream. I would be very short and sweet.
That's sweet?
I wouldn't say sweet, sour. Short and sour. Wait. Okay.
That's Sabrina Carpenter's next call.
Wait. Can we break that down for a second? While we were doing that, did you feel nervous?
Of course.
Why?
Because you're being confronted.
You felt defensive.
No.
Oh.
I don't feel defensive. Like, in something like that, no. It's more that, like, you're being confronted, like, by, like, someone that, like, you know, there's so much behavior that you're never asked to take accountability for, usually.
Interesting. Yeah.
You know, and like most of life.
You just feel like it's kind of like too sudden.
Yeah. Like, oh.
Like, I'm not ready for this.
Absolutely. Right.
Interesting. Okay.
And that's usually why I don't say anything. I'm just like, well, I can,
Right.
like you were saying, like, 참을 수 있잖아. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just like always trying to endure. And that's it. So like, I don't know. I like if there are people that are listening.
You have a taste of martyrdom in you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a twinge of that.
I'm trying to get rid of it. I am not Jesus Christ.
It's
yeah.
your mother.
Yeah.
It's hard to get rid of your mom. But that's
it's
interesting.
hard to get rid of mine.
I mean, I'm speaking from experience. But my mom would approach it this way. I know.
Yes.
Because my mom's very confrontational. She's very like, okay, we clearly have a problem.
Right.
So we need to figure this out because I'm uncomfortable and that's not going to sit well.
It's crazy because I'm like this with everybody that like in my family, right? Like I'm like this with my husband. I'm like this, like, what's the problem? Talk to me.
But not with friends.
Or anybody else.
Pourquoi?
I don't know.
You don't feel safe. Maybe you don't feel safe.
Maybe.
Right.
It's
because you would feel safe with your husband or your family.
Yeah.
That like you can confront and they won't leave you or they won't hate you. Or
yes.
Like they have to love you. But I'm willing to bet that if you do confront things more head on, it's kind of like what I heard today on a podcast about like this girl was like talking about how like she had to teach her husband how to eat her out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so she was saying how like so many girls don't do that because they're like, whatever you're giving is good, you know, like,
sure.
But it's like you need to advocate for yourself.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So like this is the confrontation, I think. Maybe change it into a different word, like advocating for self.
Yeah. I mean, like, you do have to tell people how to eat you out, for sure.
Yeah. Well,
like,
number one is you need to know how to be ate.
You do need to be
right?
Eaten. Yes. How do you want to be eaten?
Yes. And number two is then communicating that to a partner so that you can both enjoy this.
To be eaten.
Or to be seen, right? Like, like that's what we're saying, right? It's like,
yes,
see me as this person that demands a certain amount of respect.
Yes. This is it.
You're lacking respect.
Yes. And why? Why?
I think we know. I think you are trading, if I may. You might, because of like the mommy martyrdom, you might be trading respect for likability.
Yes.
I think you might be like making it into a currency.
What's craziest about all of this is that I am not well liked.
No, that's not true. You are well.
No, I'm just saying, like, it's not like a ton of people are like, wow, what like an easygoing, well-liked person. Like, even with all of this trying, no one thinks that of me. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I think there's a part of me where I'm just like, why am I working against myself so hard? And I think it's because,
I don't think you should.
Yeah, because I didn't used to be like this, Peter. When I was a much younger woman, I was really letting it fly. And it was absolutely like in my early 20s and then getting into improv, like before that maybe, like it was just a lot of like, I started to change because I was trying to be much more like palatable, normal. Like this all happened even before comedy though. And it's so crazy.
You know,
I wasn't like this before.
Speaking of palatable.
Yeah.
Have you ever been given a compliment?
No.
No, have you ever been complimented about something like your comedy and you're like, oh, that's it? like that's what my comedy is. Like someone like summed it up for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes it's hard. Like you don't really like. It's hard to like summarize yourself,
Right.
because you're inside of it, and you're just like broadcasting.
Yeah.
And then it's not until someone else sees you and like wraps you up into this like very like tidy, brusque like statement.
Sure.
That happened to me recently.
What happened? What did they say?
It was so on point that I was like, wow, I'm going to use that as a tagline. After a show, this gay guy came up to me and he goes, I love your stuff. And I was like, oh, thank you. And he goes, savage yet palatable. And I was like, oh.
Yes.
That's good.
I mean, it's absolutely true. And it's savage.
Right?
It's savage and inexplicably palatable.
Right.
Because it's like, how is he?
This shouldn't happen. Yeah.
Like, I mean, because all of it is like, that's the magic of it all. Like, where you're just like,
right.
How is it even happening? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, you're not like trying to be palatable. You're not trying to pander in any sort of way.
It's just what it is.
It is what it is. Like, I'm like
it's
literally watching people be like, yes, like, I like this. Like, be like starting to be like, this is all like acceptable. They're like taking it and they're shoveling it into their mouths.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I didn't think I wanted that.
That's yes.
Yeah.
That's it. There's something about it where like, and watching you do it feels like magic every single time. Like, I'm telling you this. Yeah, like the improv at the shop. Like, yes. You know, the only time that's ever happened to me, Peter, was my husband when he said, I was working on a joke. It's like beating out the words of everything very, very specifically. And my husband was like, I don't even know why you're bothering with that. You know, people like you because you make big gestures with your little hands.
You're mostly slapstick, hon.
The way
You're a physical act.
I can't
Wow, I mean, that's also a summary. I wouldn't call it a compliment. It is a summarization nonetheless.
He was just like, I don't know why you're even bothering with words.
Just gesture.
Gestures. Your little hands.
That is so funny. But you do have little hands and you do be gesturing. That's so nice to be seen that way. You know, you're like, oh, you get me.
No, I'll kill you. Come over here. I'm going to make big gestures, my little hands around your throat. This is very helpful. Absolutely. I'm boundaries. Yes. I'm stern. Watch out, acquaintances. Look out.
Hey, I'm here to help. If you need help setting boundaries, I could be your boundary coach.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, folks. Thanks so much for listening and watching along with us. We hope you have a great week.
Yes.
Bye.